Yes, hello. This is Pursuing God's Heart. Just a quick thought from Mark's Gospel. I'm going to spend a few days in the Gospel of Mark, and in the early chapters, the tension is already starting to rise. There's already some issues between the authorities and Jesus. At the end of chapter 2, there's tensions about Sabbath breaking or Sabbath keeping. Start of chapter 3, again, Jesus comes into a synagogue, and there's a man there with a withered hand, and they're watching him. They're kind of eagle-eyed, police, focused on Jesus to see if he's going to break the Sabbath. If he does, then they can accuse him. And so Jesus asks the question, is it lawful on the Sabbath to do good or to do harm, to save life or to kill? But they were silent, and he looked around at them with anger, grieved at their hardness of heart. Okay, so we don't live in the same situation. We don't live under the Jewish law. We don't have a weekly imposed Sabbath that we have to keep and so on. But I suppose that the thought came to mind, we do have a government imposed Sabbath right now where we're supposed to stay at home. We're only supposed to go out for certain reasons. And it's very easy, I suppose, to see some similarities. I suppose that the thing that I find interesting here is that while they were out to trap him, Jesus was out to do good. And so the whole issue of the Sabbath was kind of the surface issue, but the real issue was motivation. It was heart. Their heart was evil in its intent. His heart was to do good. He cared about this man. He wants to heal him. And in doing that, like with all the miracles that Jesus does, he reveals something of the Father's heart as well for a broken creation. Now, what does that mean for us today? I think, to put it simply, whatever our opinion may be politically, the right thing to do is to obey the government, to submit and to follow the rules. But it's easy to just follow rules and then use rules as an excuse for bad motivations. For example, it'd be very easy, wouldn't it, to just retreat behind our front doors, close the door, and just do nothing. Do nothing kind, do nothing caring, not look out for the vulnerable, and so on. But if we're going to be reflecting the heart of Christ, if we're going to be following in his footsteps, then yes, we want to obey the authorities in our context, probably more than he did in his. But we want to be looking at the heart. We want to be asking God to evaluate our hearts and not hide in lockdown and just take care of number one. That's human instinct, but it's not a good one. Instead, let's be praying about, thinking about, saying, Lord, if you were here, who would you care for? If you were here, who would you want to make a difference for? What can I do to reflect your heart, even under a day after day imposed Sabbath lockdown? The heart is important, and we've got to be looking at his and allowing him by his Spirit to look at ours. Are we going to go into hiding? Are we going to just look after ourselves? Or are we going to reflect his heart, willing to reach out and care for others in the midst of all that's going on?